All right, Grace. So let's take a look at your shot put video. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Okay, so hopefully you see my screen here. So there's a couple of things. Here's the good news is that a lot of the things that we were talking about in shot put or in disc, excuse me, are going to apply here as well. So your starting position is pretty good. Hopefully you can see my cursor right here. I think just little things like just relax this arm a little bit. So like see how your hand is flexed and up like this. Like I think you can chill a little bit on that. Rachel Denkoff does that kind of thing on her discus throw. She kind of keeps this hand facing up like this, but she still keeps her arm relaxed. So just be cognizant of that. I don't want you starting to send a signal to this side of your body to get really tight. So make sure that this arm is still staying relaxed. Your hand like this is fine. Just don't get rigid. Don't get rigid on this side of your body. So when you start to come in, you're getting over your right leg pretty well. This is the first spot that I think we start to lose a little bit of power. So your sweep leg is really far back while your entry arm, your right entry arm is coming way open. So we need to kind of neutralize a little bit of both of those. So I would rather see your right arm pointing a little bit more down the right sector, not outside of the right sector. And the reason for that is you're losing a little bit of that upper lower body torque right here, versus if you keep this right arm a little bit more down the right sector line, like literally pointing down the right sector line as you come into the circle. When you start to sweep your sweep leg in, it's going to be easier to start to establish that separation. If you're way opened up with your upper body, now your sweep leg has a lot of catching up to do to start to establish that twist and that torque. So with that being said, your sweep leg, we've talked about this a little bit. You have a really high sweep leg right here, and that's okay, but it just makes it a little bit harder to get it in and around. Like you're really going to have to drive that thing in and around aggressively. So in a perfect world, at this spot, I would like to have seen your sweep leg already start to establish, and it's kind of hanging back a little bit. Okay. So see how it's still hanging up, still hanging up, still kind of hanging up. Now it's kind of starting to come in, and now your arm is almost pointing out at a 90-degree angle at this point. So that's causing you, like, you don't have any upper body lower body separation right here. Okay, now you start to bring it in a little bit. You're doing a pretty good job right here of leaving your upper body alone and sweeping this left leg in front. So that's a pretty good job right there. See how your foot is kind of coming up? Let me rewind it a little bit. It's kind of coming up for a second and then back down. Ideally, the path that we take from right here, from like right here, is I want that left leg just coming down in and turning. So I don't want it to come around, scoop up for a second, and then drop. So we're losing some efficiency right there. So, and again, everything that I'm saying right now applies to your discus too. So that's the good news, is like you start to fix this a little bit in your shot put, it's going to get fixed in discus. You start to fix it a little bit in your discus, it's going to fix in shot put. So we got to bring that left around, and it needs to just come in and turn. It's swooping up a little bit and then dropping. Okay, so we got to get that a little bit corrected here. So right here, same thing that we were talking about in discus. So when your foot comes in, and part of it is because it's coming in, scooping up and dropping, there's a second where it doesn't really do much. So it hits. See how right here, like your knee is like pointing at the camera, but your toe isn't. Your toe is pointing over here. Ideally, those are in line because it's just one unit turning together. Okay. So again, that's all because it's swooping up and dropping for a second. So right there, that's a little bit of an inefficiency that you're losing a little bit of power. So we want that thing to come in and now it's together. Right here, when you land in this spot, it's together, but then because your foot doesn't quite start to turn, now your knee is turned, but your foot isn't. So now your foot's got to try and play catch up. So let me scoot it forward a little bit. Now it's kind of started to catch up a little bit. Right leg comes around pretty well. This is a pretty good position right here. I would like this right arm. We've talked about this right arm, and this is what I mean by keeping it relaxed the entire turn. I would rather see this right arm just kind of floating out in front of you over your left knee. Right now, it's like really rigid because you're anticipating that block. So you're just anticipating it a little bit too early. Just needs to be chill, relaxed in front of you. So you come around. Now you're starting to turn the left. Not a bad position here. You're kind of tipping your head over to the side, so there's a little bit of that like falling through the finish, but that's just kind of being nitpicky. It's a pretty decent finish. I'd rather see you work your fingers a little bit more through the shot. Like at this stage, I'd rather see your fingers like this. Okay, because that means that you gave it enough help, and then at the last second, you just flicked your fingers through. Okay, so right now again, everything's a little rigid. Okay, so your hand looks kind of rigid right there, like you didn't really snap your fingers through. Okay, good follow through all around. All right, let's watch a good one more time. Fast motion. Hold on. Okay, so with all that being said, let's take a look at this guy. This is a good lefty for you to watch. His name's Eric Favors. He technically represents Ireland, but he trains in Ohio with the Garage Strength and Thoreau's University guys. So let's just watch a little bit of his turn and the differences here. Okay. He's just a really good lefty for you to watch. Let's watch a couple more, and then I'm actually going to rewind it and point out some of those things that we were talking about. Okay, so that's a good video for us to watch right here. Okay, I'm gonna mute it so it's not kind of annoying going through that in slow-mo. So when he comes around, see how like just kind of fluid his right arm is? I'd rather see your right arm be fluid because now it's easier to make sure that it's relaxed and stretched out in front of you in the right spots. Okay, he kind of throws his right arm in hard, which can lead to some bad things, but he actually does a pretty good job of neutralizing it. So right there, so he's a little bit opened up, but right here, if I put you guys side by side, your left leg is still way tucked up by your butt cheek in this position. So he's already starting to extend it. His right arm is a little bit outside of this right sector line. And that's from him kind of throwing his arm in a little bit. That's what I was talking about. He kind of throws his arm in, gets a little too opened up, but he does a good job of neutralizing it because he has a really fast, aggressive sweep. Okay. So I would rather you kind of start to get in this type of position where at this stage, when you're in your South African that we talked about, your leg is a little bit more extended. Okay. Like your sweep has already started to initiate. Okay. Okay, so his sweep is coming around, eyes are up, chest is up. So his foot is going to come around and it's just going to sink and turn. Okay, he's actually a little bit tall, gets a little bit tall in his power position, but his left leg is coming around super long and vicious, with you kind of having a little bit of a tendency to get opened up like him. This is why I picked him, is because he kind of opens up aggressively. You open up aggressively with your upper body. You have to match it by having your left leg come around and catch up really quick. And he does a good job of that. Okay. So his left leg comes around, drops, and turns immediately. Okay. Let's watch that again. Okay. So notice how it doesn't come around, up, drop. It's just around, drop. Okay. It's just around, drop. Okay. So that path is very important for you. We have to get your sweep leg to just come around and drop. It can't come around, swoop up, drop. Okay. Then from here, like I said, he gets a little, yeah, just a little tall through his power position, but it's not too bad. Okay. His right arm, right there. Okay, it's kind of hard to pause it in the exact right spot, but when he starts to get into his power position, see how his right arm is still hanging out over this knee? That's what we got to get you to get into as well, is as you start to get into your power position, you stay wound. Okay. And this right arm stays long and relaxed, trying to stay over this leg, this left leg, as long as you can. So now he's got all this block because his arm is still way over this leg. He's got this huge block that he can rip open to start to help give him some twist on the finish. Okay, we'll watch a couple more of these. Whoosh, ta-ta, snap. Watch one more here. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some pointers. Like if you ever want to kind of mimic some shot put technique, he's a really good guy for you to watch, not just because he's a lefty, but he kind of does some of the same things that you do. Like he gets a little bit opened up, but he matches it with the aggressiveness of his left sweep leg. So he's a really good lefty for you to watch in the shot put. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know. I'll talk to you later.